Hi, welcome back to Outdoor Gear and Skills. I just wanted to talk a little bit about mountain biking. Saturday, I was up riding Mount Scott Road, and before I left, I went out to my garage. My front tire was a little bit flat, but I pumped it up. Got some pretty strong PSI in there, so the tire was pretty hard, like the rear tire. So everything was good, and I'm climbing up this road, and then my tire went flat on me. So it went as flat as it was when I pumped it up in my house. And I felt around. I found that there was a blackberry thorn that I had picked up from riding the day before. So I was able to wiggle that out of the tire. And I was having some problems getting my hand pump to connect on here. And I had an old tire repair kit. There were some adhesives instead of having to use glue. And I typically have just gotten to the point where I just don't even mess with changing or patching tires, and I just kind of swap them out. But I thought, you know what? I want to kind of save the backup because I'm in a really rocky gravel road area, and there are blackberries and some different things like that around. So I just wanted to kind of keep a good backup tube in my Camelback. So I went to go try to fix this. The patch kit was so old, there was no adhesive left on them, and so I couldn't get anything to stick, and I didn't have a choice but to swap it out. So what I do is I carry a hand pump so that I can get my tire inflated. And anytime you're going to change your tire, you have to inflate the tube first, so you get all the folds out of it, because it's typically folded up into a box. And so I did that, got it back in there, and then I used these 25-gram threaded CO2 cartridges, and I'll show you. There's mine right there. I like this nozzle because it doesn't have a trigger on it. It's pressurized in here. I haven't had to use one of these on the trail for a long time, but I believe that this can, sit in my backpack. I may lose a little bit of CO2 out of here, but after that ride, I actually bought a box, and I've got 6 extra cartridges. So I'm going to throw them in my Camelback so that I have them. So it's really hard with a small hand pump to get your tires inflated really well on the trail. I've got this Park Tools bike pump. It's got both Schrader and Presta valve on it right here. It's got a tire gauge. I have had this for at least 15 years. I love this thing, but I can't carry that around with me on the trail. And the hand pumps are very difficult to get it inflated properly. So what I'll typically do is use my hand pump, inflate it, and then use the CO2 to get that high pressure. But it really just kind of annoyed me because I got a flat tire a few weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, and I ordered 2 new tubes, and then I got another flat tire on this one right here. And I just went, you know what, screw that. I'm going to try to patch it, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just, stop and, cut it, repurpose it, whatever. But I want to try and patch it with new sticker patches on here. Now I really kind of like those adhesive sticker patches instead of putting glue on, where you may not get full glue, or maybe you go beyond the area of the patch, and so you've got glue hitting your tire. I don't care for that. Or maybe you're not hitting enough surface area. And so what I did was just grabbed a small kit. It has a small piece of sandpaper in there, and it has 2 different sizes of patches on there, some smaller circles and some bigger squares. I'm going to use a bigger square. Now, I have already taken the little piece of sandpaper, kind of scratched it out so I don't lose this hole. This is a pretty small hole, and I could see where it was on the trail, and I used the CO2. I kind of pumped it up so I could see where it was. But now out here, it took me a little bit. I actually filled my bathroom sink with water and had to stick this in to find it. So I am keeping my thumb on here. So these patches say to scratch up the surface with the little piece of sandpaper. It's pretty aggressive grit. I don't know, probably 80 grit, something like that, but it's pretty abrasive. And so I'm just letting out the air right now. And then what you're supposed to do is peel these stickers off and put them on. So there's my hole. Like I said, I am going to take one of these because I want to do the bigger section and just try to enhance my chances of making this stick. So taking that off there, and that has it looks like 6 and 6, so I've got a total of 12 patches here. So there's my hole, and I'm supposed to peel this back and as much as possible not touch the adhesive. So peeling this back like that, trying not to touch that, there we go, and making sure that I've got identified where my puncture is. And then you're supposed to put this on and hold this for about 30 seconds. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to hold it, flat, as much surface space as I can. Now you'll notice that I let the air out of here. I do want to inflate it to be able to find where the puncture is, but I want this flat and as much air out of it as possible so that I can hold this flat and give it that 30 seconds to adhere. So before I started this video, I took the tube out, my replacement tube that I used on my ride Saturday, deflated it, threw it back in the box. It's going back in my Camelback. Now, when I put this back in my bike tire, I'm going to fill this with some pretty high PSI, probably about 40 PSI, and get that so that I can really tell if there is any fluctuation given the heat. So right now, I am probably not going to ride. It is still about 95 degrees here. We've really hit a heat wave, little snap here in Southern Oregon. And yesterday and today, it's been triple digits. And to me, that's just not really, a smart thing to do. The hottest ride I've ever done was in St. George. And that was back somewhere around 2012, I believe. And it was 108 degrees and just no shade and too hot. That's too hot to ride. And as I get up in here, there is a little bit of shade in the trail. It's not a trail, but the road I would go on to climb 1,000 feet here locally. But that is just too much, with the heat. So what I want to do is inflate this, leave it overnight so that when I get up in the morning, I can look and see how it's doing. Now this tube, or I take it back, the other one, sorry, my front tire was a little bit squishy. It had lost some air pressure, but my backup bicycle, the one that I use to ride my grandson, one of those two tires is a little bit squishy as well. So the heat can definitely mess with your PSI on your tires. So it's been over 30 seconds. I'm holding that there. So what I want to do is open up that valve and put this on, and I want to inflate this, and then I want to take a look at it, and I want to see if it looks like the patch fully adhered and that it is in place. And it looks like it has. Show that to you right there. There is the patch job. So again, a small thorn is what ruptured this tire. It's punctured it. So I wanted to put a little bit of overkill on that with that size. So that looks good. So I'm going to throw this back in my bike tire, throw the bike tire back on, pump it up, check it in the morning. I don't typically do this. You know, I've gotten to the point where tires really, or the tubes really aren't that expensive that, you know, I can just kind of use it. But if I can get this to hold air, then I'm going to use this one and have the other one as my backup. If not, this is probably going in the trash. I have repurposed to maybe 3 tubes, and I still have a lot of this left. I will cut strips, put it over Altoids cans, different things like that, paracord, use it as a way to hold, you know, something closed or hold something together. But the reality is I probably have almost 2 tubes left where I've just cut off the valve stem, and they have all this length, and I don't need any more. I don't need to accumulate anything. So I'm hoping I can make this work, because if not, the reality is it's going in the trash, and I really don't want to do that. So I just wanted to take a chance to do that. But I also just wanted to have new patches, new CO2 canisters. I only had the 125 gram. If it ever gets to the point that I have to inflate the entire tube with a CO2 cartridge and not just get that high-end PSI, I want to have a couple of those in my bag. Now these are threaded, so this little nozzle threads on there. I had another one where it was 16 gram CO2 cartridges instead of 25 gram, and you would fit it in, and it had a trigger. And the problem was you would use most of that on a tire, but if there was anything left, the trigger was likely to get hit. And so I was trying to, you know, put something in there. I think I put like some type of electrical cap in there and put Velcro around to try to hold that so the trigger didn't get depressed, and that was just kind of stupid. So this is much better, and then I've just got that pressure on there to do that. So I look like I'm doing pretty good here. So I'm going to go ahead and let some air out, and I'm not going to take any more time while I put the tire back together. But this just kind of goes to, you know, preparation. When I got this flat tire, I was a few miles out on a gravel road, and I had been about 32 minutes into my ride, and I ended up riding 2.5 hours that day. I was out there quite a bit, and that was going to shave 2 hours off my riding time if I had to turn around and go back down the hill because of not getting this fixed, or if I, you know, had any other issues. I will say one thing: when I found the thorn, the blackberry thorn that had punctured the tire, I made sure to fill inside of the tire to make sure there was nothing else that was going to puncture that tire or the tube again. So you want to do that when you're swapping these out. I'm going to get this put back together, but new patch kit, extra 25 grams CO2 threaded cartridges to get me all set up. And I'm not going to notice the weight. It's going to be so minimal, but it's going to put me back to having the tools I need on the trail in case something happens. Unfortunately, I ride mostly alone at this point, and a lot of times in the past, the tools I've carried, I've used and given to, you know, my buddies, other riders I've been with, to get things fixed, like a chain breaker. And I've only had to use that one time in 30 years that I've been mountain biking. So, you know, now the tools I carry are going to directly help me, benefit me while I do the ride. And so to me, it's worth the wait to carry those. I would love to hear if you are a mountain biker, you know, what is your system? What are you doing here? What are you doing as far as just preparation when you maybe have a little extra weight on that you're carrying when you're out there? And as always, thanks for watching Outdoor Gear and Skills, and we'll see you out there.